You don't find purpose, you build one. We aimlessly scroll through life. We don't know where to go and what to do, and influencers dictate what we think and what we should want. And we watch videos, read books, and we hope to find our purpose in retreats. And that's where we make the big mistake. There's this huge misconception about purpose, and that's why so many of us struggle to live a meaningful, fulfilling life. When we can't determine what our purpose is, we feel stuck and unsatisfied no matter what we do. No matter how much money we make, we will feel unhappy, or even worse, we get burned out. So in this video, I want to share some of my own realistic approach to find meaning in life. Let me tell you a little story about myself. So let's start at the point where I entered the working world, because I was completely out of place. One of my colleagues later admitted to me that they were laughing at me when I showed up at the job interview because I looked wild. I had long hair. I tried to shave myself, and I appeared in some kind of suit because I thought that's the way you appear in interviews. And that was for a creative agency. So later I've learned that designers, copywriters, creatives, they usually show up in their own style, more like artists, and definitely not how I did. So, but just for context, just a month before I was hitchhiking through Thailand, I was sitting in the back of pickup trucks, and I had nothing more than a backpack and my travel guitar. So yeah, I was really out of touch with the business world, the working world in my country. And I looked like a dirty hippie, you might say. And so I was trying to fit in, and I got the job. What I then realized is people are different than the people I met on my travels or the people I met in university. Suddenly I'm hitting the working world where I'm confronted with toxic behavior, internal politics, and hustle culture, stuff that I have never had to deal with, and I didn't really like that. But this is where I built my craft as a copywriter. But something didn't really feel right. Not just the surrounding, but also like my craft. I didn't really know what I want, right? When I applied to that job, I had no skills, really. And so I just knew I can write, and I'm good with words, and I enjoy that. So I started writing as a copywriter there. And I worked myself through this, and I learned how to write ads and blog articles. And I always try to take on new roles to expand my knowledge. I did Google Ads, I did SEO, and I even started doing a little bit of design so I could better support the designers. And I was just so curious and really hungry for knowledge because I didn't really know, right? So I was like kind of floating through this agency, and I tried to find my place, trying to figure out what I want, what really fulfills me. And I did many things and tried many things that were failing and flopping. In this agency, I tried to reinvent the way we organize each other. Many things, because I was like very idealistic as well. I was reading books on teamwork and leadership, and yeah, it was like a long journey. So like I really did many things that didn't even become anything useful to me. And so I didn't really feel that I get where I wanted to be, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. I felt frustrated, and I thought like, hey, I want to do some purpose. I want to find meaning, but I don't. I'm in this agency here. I don't even know what to do. How do I find purpose? And most of the stuff I learned, I never got to apply because I was limited by what my boss allowed me to do. It all depended on the projects, obviously. So for months, I didn't really feel like I'm growing at all, and I was also very afraid to leave and try something else, right? So I tried everything I could within the bounds of the agency. And yeah, like that, I just floated through my 20s feeling so frustrated and empty. I was thinking about the meaning of life ever since my childhood. I was talking about this in uni times, and now I'm sitting there and I'm working and I don't get to do that. I don't get to do meaningful work, and I'm sitting here and I need to make ends meet. It was really frustrating, and it was just more about the money and figuring out where to go next, what to do next. And then COVID hit. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, COVID was a blessing. It was a life-changing opportunity for me in many, many ways. I was actually in India at the time. I told you about this in other videos. I did a yoga training, and suddenly I had to stay there in India, or I decided to stay there. So I had to go back to work from there. I took a holidays and to finish my training, and then I needed to get back to work. And that's when I started to really get into this whole remote work thing and really thinking more like a remote worker or even an entrepreneur, because I needed to have my own business and find other clients as well. And guys, this was one of the best decisions of my life. And I wasn't trying to avoid uncertainty anymore, because COVID in a foreign country, there was so much uncertainty there. And with my job, and would I keep it, and would I find new people? My laptop was even broken, right? So I had to face all these uncertainties. And I stopped to avoid uncertainty, and I was embracing it, really. And I started working for many different kinds of clients on many different projects, and it wasn't always great, but I really started to enjoy serving others on my own terms and figuring out what I want to do and really offer whatever I want to offer and create my own boundaries within these projects. And so this whole freelancing thing or having my own business thing gave me time to experiment even more. And I started a travel YouTube channel. I learned to film, to write scripts. And then I started that channel here because I really wanted a way to share my most intimate thoughts and feelings and learnings. And here I share everything that is meaningful to me with you. So it might help you to grow as a human, right? You're just joining me on my journey here, where I'm just sharing whatever I feel is helpful for me and for you. So, okay, so why am I telling you all this, and why is this important for building a purpose? All of this helped me develop more skills I could offer to my audience and my clients. So I started working more for the same kind of people, using the same kind of skills, and I began to notice patterns. Patterns in my clients' behavior, in what they want, what they need, patterns in how I work and how I enjoy working. And I started to solve real-world problems, because I know them so intimately. And I have a sense of what they need, what they want, and I started to listen to their problems. So it became more of solving their problems than me just writing a text. Before I was a copywriter, I just thought I deliver pieces of work, like text, like a blog, like a piece of content. And then I finally found myself as someone who helps people to solve their problems, right? That was a complete shift. Sometimes I would deliver something like that, like a text, a website, and so forth. But the main purpose was to serve them and to really make sure they get what they need. I discovered how I best serve my people. I took action, I experimented, I broadened my horizon and deepened my expertise. Okay, there's much more to my story, but I want to get tactical at this point. So let's divide what I told you about my life into two phases that I think are important to know to build your own purpose, right? You have to decide if you're already in one of the two, where you are in these phases and what you need to do. But this makes it really straightforward in knowing where to start and where you're at the moment. So again, it's two phases. And the first phase, I call it the yes phase. That's where you say yes to all kinds of opportunities, right? You will say yes as a child. When you're a child, you say yes to almost everything to make money, right? You will do the lawn. You will, be a postboy and all that stuff. And later you will say yes to opportunities, professional opportunities. Uh, in university, you might say yes to organizing events or be a musician like I was, or say yes to academic work, whatever comes your way, you will probably try to say yes so you gain experience and you figure out what you like. I did all that stuff in the agency as well, where I just said yes to anything. I worked for free sometimes just because I wanted to learn more stuff, and I was so curious about these things. So I built a broad range of skills and experiences, and I want that for you for you as well. So if you find yourself still in the beginning of your journey and you don't know really yet, then it's really good to just say yes. And now you have still time. You're young. You are probably more curious. Hopefully you remain curious later on in life. But that's the time to really try to embrace everything that comes your way. And I think phase one is pretty straightforward, and it's probably very natural for most people. What is more hard is phase two. This is what I call the no phase. And that's where the most hard work will start, because here you will say no to most opportunities. Or let's say it in a different way, the opportunities from phase one become a distraction, because now you're starting to focus. And in phase two, you want to carve out a name for yourself. You want to focus on a specific way you serve others. You are specializing in some kind of way. You're doing what you're best at. You're doing what you like, what you enjoy doing, and you do it for people that you want to work with, right? And this is, you will need to work on finding out what that is. And that means you will have to say no to other things that come your way. And you will need to really focus more on how you spend your time, because you don't have so much time. You have more responsibilities. You need to make money. You're getting a little bit older. And this is where you really need to make the best of your time. And this is a very critical phase, because many people don't leave the phase one. I see many freelancers, businesses, employees struggle with that, because they just try to say yes to anything that comes their way, any requests from their colleagues, their boss, from a client. They just say yes because they just don't want to miss out on opportunities. But that's the big mistake. That's how they don't grow anymore. They grew like that in the beginning, was helpful, but now it's time to go deeper. So in phase two, you create a snowball effect of purpose. The deeper you go in your expertise, the more patterns you will see. The more patterns you see, the better you will get at solving someone's problem, to serve someone. And the better you get at this, the more fulfilling it becomes, because you will get really good and you will see specific things and you will find specific, unique solutions for the people you like. And this is how you build purpose. You figure it out and you make decisions and you start saying yes to this one thing and no to the other, while you build your expertise, while you become better at serving others, right? Purpose is a lot, in my opinion, about serving others and doing what you love doing and what you can do best. This is also one of the best things you can do in our economy today. Like, it's not that you need to do something like work hard in a mine every day, all day long. No, the way you differentiate yourself these days is by utilizing your unique skill set, your unique passions, and making and serving people, a specific kind of people. By doing that, you will be able to make a living and find a way to live meaningfully. I feel there's nothing more rewarding. Honestly, this is what I love doing, and every day becomes even better. Because you find out more about yourself and more about the people you want to work with, or the product you want to develop, right? I'm talking so much about service because I'm working as a service provider a lot, but also doing this here in the content realm. Or if you build a product, software, the same mindset applies. It's just the tactics are a bit different, I guess, how you apply it in day-to-day work. Because the more you do this, the more valuable you become, and for your audience, for your clients, and the more valuable you become, the more you will probably enjoy that, because you feel the acknowledgement as well, and you feel it in your pocket too. Which is like all great things, right? You feel more fulfilled, you learn more specific stuff that is more valuable, you feel more appreciated, and you're probably one of the single most important experts in the field for whatever you decide to, because the more you do that, the more you will be the one person people come to for their problem, if you find a specific problem to solve. You see, I always thought purpose would just appear one day, like some grand revelation. But it's not like that. It's more like building a house. You start with what you have, and then, brick by brick, you create something meaningful. And you know what? You won't always make it right. I didn't. Oh, God knows I didn't. I floated through my 20s trying to figure things out, learning things I thought I'd never use, and feeling like I was wasting my time. But I wasn't, all of it stacked up piece by piece until I could finally see the big picture. So that's what matters so much, stepping out of your routine from time to time to see where you're at. Zoom out to see the big picture. And if you feel frustrated right now, this is your sign to pause and look at where you're going. That is the moment you are ready to change. All right. If you like that video, please click the like button, give me a comment, and ask whatever you want. It was amazing to share this with you. Hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.